In just 5 minutes of you and I talking together, I could find out what your main habits are and pretty accurately predict your future. Whoa, now that's a bold statement, right? But more than almost anything else, your habits are determining your future. And the habits you had in the past have determined where you are right now in your life. Every circumstance and situation in your life ultimately and predominantly was determined by your habits, with a few exceptions. And your future is being determined by your current habits. Let that sink in. What you do today and right now matters so much because you are literally building your future with your current habits. So I'm going to show you how to know which habits are the best habits. Like, what habits should you dump? Which habits should you bring in? Like, how do you know which habits actually lead to the success and the happiness you want? And then how to change those habits and what to do about it, how to understand habits. See, I learned this years ago when I started studying and devouring personal performance and peak performance and human performance and how to actually be happy and successful. Because I was out on my own as a teen. Man, those were tough years. And I desperately wanted to know not the pretense, not the show, not the big facade people put on. I wanted to know for reals, genuinely happy and successful people. What are they doing? And I realized right away, it's habits. There was this guy named Albert Gray, and he was a super successful insurance guy. This was decades ago. And he spent 20 to 25 years just studying success. And he just kept wondering, like, why are some people successful and others not? He's like, I meet people who are hard workers, but they don't succeed. I meet people who are really intelligent and they don't succeed. And I meet people who maybe aren't that hard at working and they seem to have success. And they're not even really that smart and they're succeeding. Like, what's going on? What's happening? And then he said this awesome quote, and it was so good that my wife and I, we had our children memorize it. We have 7 children, and we had to memorize it. And it goes like this. Every single qualification for success is acquired through habit. Men form habits, and habits form futures. Right there. He said, if you do not deliberately choose good habits, then you will unconsciously and automatically form bad ones. You are the kind of person you are because you have formed the habit of being that kind of person. And the only way to change is through habit. Close quote. That's the end of the quote. Awesome, right? So powerful. I had our kids memorize that because habits are literally determining the quality and outcome of your life. So then what do you do about it? Obviously you know some of the bad habits, right? If you're eating or consuming any kind of anything that's harmful, let me put it this way. Anything that is harmful to your body or anything that is addictive, meaning it's like it kind of weakens your control or kind of controls you, any of those two things, like that's a bad habit you got to kick. And yes, you can do it. Like here, I guess here's what I want to say to you. You can break habits. I've seen people do it. It's amazing. It's powerful. It's magical. It can be done. And if other people can do it, you can do it too. Whether it's alcoholism or a drug addiction, any kind of problem, you can do it. You can kick it, right? Anything that's destructive in your life, any other kind of addiction, anything that's weakening your performance, weakening the clarity of your mind, anything that's kind of a self-sabotaging habit, right? Habits that are just pulling you away from what you really want. And you can measure that, right? Because I think it was Charles Swindoll, he said the chief cause of failure and unhappiness in life is giving up what we want most for what we want in the moment. So any kind of habit that gets you choosing momentary, temporary, like things that rob you of what you really want, those are the habits that have just got to go. Well, which ones come in? Well, you start looking, here's a secret. I got books here I'm going to tell you about and share with you, like awesome stuff. I've been studying this, I love it. But there's some secrets. And this was the secret I found out that just changed everything for me. I started looking for common denominator habits, meaning like look at all the really truly happy and successful people and look for things they have in common, habits specifically. What do they do that most people don't? What do the successful people do that most unsuccessful people don't? What are happy, genuinely, truly happy people doing that the unhappy people aren't? And I got to see both worlds and live in both worlds and interview and ask and observe and read and study, like what's the difference? And when I started noticing patterns, and you can do the same thing, when you start noticing patterns, grab a journal, right? Grab a little notebook and start writing it down. I did. And I'm like, ooh, wait a minute. Here's a big one. All of these wonderful people that I'm reading about that were genuinely good people and great people, they're really successful, they get up early. I'm like, man, I'm not a morning person, right? Well, and I had a choice. I'm like, am I going to live by this belief, this story I'm telling myself about not being a morning person, or am I going to follow the pattern I just discovered that really successful people get up early? Do I want to be successful or do I want to sleep in? Right? That's what it came down to. And it comes down to the habit. Like, am I going to get a habit of getting up or a habit of sleeping in? Which really starts with a habit of staying up late. I'm like, done. I'm going to do it. If that's what across the board I'm noticing a pattern that really successful people get up early, I'm getting up early. Right? And I'm reading the Book of Joy, again, by Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama wakes up every single day at 3 a.m., and Desmond Tutu wakes up every day at 4 a.m. That's not a coincidence that some of the most influential and spiritual leaders on this planet get up early. There's not a coincidence there. So capture those as you come across those patterns. But let me share some books. Excellent book here, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhig. Lots of like really explaining what a habit is here. And what happens in your brain and how it fires and how you have like some kind of trigger that gets a stimulus that makes you think about it and then act. And the act is almost automatic. He teaches the science, what's happening in your brain and your body, where you're not really thinking about it. Once you train yourself into habit, it just kind of happens. There's a stimulus and then a response. And you just do it. Really fantastic book. I love it. And how to break those patterns and create new patterns for new habits. Love that. One of my favorites, Atomic Habits. This is one of my wife's all-time favorite books. Fantastic book. And about how to bring better habits into your life and create rehab. Really one of the ideas in there is the 2-minute, right? You can do anything. You just say, I'm on 2 minutes. I'm just going to try this for 2 minutes. So if you don't work out and you want to work out, because that's a good habit, there's one of them. This common denominator is they exercise. You're like, oh, I don't exercise. Oh, I don't have time. Do you have 2 minutes? Yeah, you always have 2 minutes. So work out for 2 minutes. And what happens? You end up working out for 4 or 5 or 10 or 15, and then you get into this habit. And now you're working out for 30 minutes, 5 times a week, and you feel fantastic. You look fantastic. You have tons of energy. Whoa! Now you have habits for success in place. Here's another fantastic book by Brendon Burchard, High Performance Habits. He did all this research on thousands and thousands of people across this planet, like what are the key habits of truly successful people. These high performers, the ones that are really getting it, not the fluff, not the talk, like the ones that are really getting after it. What do they actually do? And he came up with those habits, did tons of research in here. You see how much I love this book. And identify the key habits you want to follow. And then here's a really interesting one that I love by Joe Dispenza. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And what it is like he talks about how we get in this habit, often from habits we picked up as kids, and then it gets ingrained in us, and we just keep doing it. That's who we are. And so at some point, if you want to level up and be a different person or a better person, you have to break the habit of being the old person and establish a habit of being the new person, right? It's so powerful. But if you think about it, come back to it, the way you relate to money, your habits around money with income and expenses or spending, the way you relate to food, what kind of food you eat, how much food you eat, when you eat and why you eat, your relationships, the quality of your marriage, the quality of your parenting, your interactions with your kids. You're going to pick up habits and they may not be serving you. They might not be helping your marriage. It might not be helping with your parenting. It's just not working. And you're like, why isn't this working? Why is marriage so hard? Why is parenting hard? Why don't my kids listen? For the most part, it's because of habits you have. And some of them are conscious and some of them are unconscious. And so you got to break those habits. This is literally why. So I built this MASTERCLASS for men. And courses. My wife and I just created a course. This is our mission. This is our passion. This is our work. And we built these courses to help us become aware of the habits and patterns we have in place and the ones that are not serving us and the ones that serve us, and how to make that transition, how to set up systems and strategies in your life to help you move over so that you're regularly living in habits that are taking you where you want to go. Let that sink in. Man, and if you today with this video, just pick one. Pick one thing that you know is a habit that so you can do one of both ways. You could choose a habit you're going to drop. But the best way to drop a habit is to replace it with a good one. So choose a habit that you want to put in your life that you know for sure will make a positive difference in your life. Really starting right away, but especially in the future. Pick one habit that you're like, you know what? I know for certain that if I do that consistently and regularly, if I make it a habit in my life, it will make my life significantly better. And it can be physical or mental or emotional or spiritual or social or financial. It can be in your relationships or at work, right? Pick that habit that you know will take you to where you want to go. And then when we meet in person and I ask you about your habits, you're going to tell me like, oh yeah, this one. I worked on it. I did it consistently until it became automatic. It became a part of my life and who I am and how I do life. And it's taking me where I want to go. Do that, my friends. Get your habits dialed in and your habits will take you to where you want to go. Reach upward.